Hey, what is going on guys? So today we're checking out the Player's Kai, Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, Cloud Strife and Fenrir, and the remake Cloud Strife and Hardy Daytona. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to check out this video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a suggestion in the comments below for what video you guys want to see next. Okay, and so first up, let's go ahead and take a look at the packaging for both of the figures. So here we have the Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, this is Cloud Strife and Fenrir. And here we have the remake Cloud Strife and Hardy Daytona. And so here's a look at the inside of the packaging. And so let's take a quick look at the accessories. So of course we have the figure itself. We have a couple pairs of hands, we have the blades, and we have Fenrir. And it's pretty much the exact same for Hardy Daytona. So we have the figure itself, we have the bike, we have a couple pairs of hands, and we have the Buster Swords and the display stand at the bottom. So yeah, there's a quick look at the packaging and the accessories for the figures. Let's go ahead and get these figures out of the box, and we will take a closer look. Alright guys, and so here are both of the bikes, out of the packaging and fully assembled. They're both incredible bikes. I really don't know which one I like better. They're just both absolutely amazing. So of course right here we have the original Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. This is Cloud Strife and Fenrir. I mean, such a nice bike, super awesome. And of course right here we have the Final Fantasy VII Remake Cloud Strife and Hardy Daytona, which comes with the first class edition of the game. I think maybe Fenrir is slightly bigger compared to the Daytona, but for the most part they're around the same size, so there isn't a big difference. Now, one of the biggest differences on these bikes is the fact that Fenrir has a light-up feature on his bike. So as you can see, the headlights and the tail lights at the back has a light, whereas the Hardy Daytona does not have a light-up feature at all, which is really disappointing. I mean, the lights would have made this figure so much better, but nonetheless, it is still a very nice piece. So here we have the remake of Cloud. So this is pretty much the exact same Cloud figure which we got in 2017, so it's a little bit disappointing that they included the same Cloud figure and not the updated Cloud. But nonetheless, it is still a very nice piece, and yeah, I still love this figure. Now as for the Cloud, which comes with the Fenrir, this is pretty much the exact same figure as the original AC Clouds, which came out in, I think it was 2015. So yeah, for the most part, it's pretty much the exact same figure, just with a slightly different paint job and a different head sculpt. There's a quick overview on both of the figures. So yeah guys, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the Final Fantasy VII Fenrir and Hardy Daytona. Stay tuned guys. Okay, and so let's begin with the Hardy Daytona. So here's a look at the front tire piece. And as you can see, we have all these mechanical parts sculpted in there, like all these pistons. Of course the pistons don't actually move, but it's a very nice detail nonetheless. And you can even see all the nuts and bolts sculpted in there. And here's a look at the front bumper section of the tire. It's so nicely done. I love how it's so true to the original design. And so moving on here to the bottom. So here we have this engine piece. This is probably my favorite part on the entire figure. I mean, the detailing here is just so nicely done. It's just so intricately detailed. Just every single bits that they've added in here. I've never seen detailing quite like this on any other Player's Kai figure before, so you can really tell that Square Enix put a lot of efforts into this figure. But I mean, even the paint job is so nicely done. It's very clean. It's pretty much a perfect paint job in my opinion. I really don't have any problems regarding the paint job. But yeah, I mean, just look at all the detailings, all the fine sculpts in there, all those pipes, all the mechanical parts. There's actually a place for the figure to rest his foot, which is really good because it really does help to support the figure on the bike. And down here we have the stand at the bottom of the bike, and this stand is actually made of metal, and I really love the textures here. As you can see, the texture is super shiny. It's very reflective and it gives a nice shine in the lights. I just think it looks super nice and very high quality. And here's a look at the handle piece of the Daytona. And there is a bit of articulation in the handle. And so let's take a quick look at the figure. So yeah, as I mentioned before, it's pretty much the exact same figure as before, so there really isn't much different here than we haven't already seen. But yeah, it's still a very nice figure. I mean, it still has a great head sculpt, and it's actually one of my favorite Player's Kai figures. So I still love this figure a lot. And yeah, it's a great figure. So yeah, here's the head sculpt. And here we have the shoulder pads with all those nuts and bolts sculpted in there. Moving down here to the body piece of the figure. And here we have his arm holding this very iconic Buster Sword. And so here we have the back of the figure. So here's the back of the engine piece, or the exhaust pipes. I really don't know what they are, but yeah, once again, super nicely done and very intricately sculpted. And so back here we have the back tire piece. And so here's the front of the bike. And here we have the front bumper piece. So moving on here. Right here we have the headlights. And as I mentioned, the figure does not have a light up feature, which is really disappointing. It just would have made the figure so much better. And yeah, it would have been perfect to have a light right here at the headlights. So yeah, it's very, very unfortunate. And so here's the top of the bike with all those nice reflections in there. It's very high quality. That's what I love about this bike. It doesn't feel cheap. And so here's the handle of the bike. And same goes for the other side. We have the handle. Here's just a quick look at the cloud figure on the bike. And here's the back of the engine piece. And so here's a tiny detail which I missed out on in my original Player's Kai Harley Daytona review. So I thought I would just give you guys a quick look. So this piece can flip up. It's held on by a swivel joint, and yeah, you can flip it up to expose the little technometer, which is a really cool detail. I really didn't expect them to include this, but yeah, super nicely done. I mean, it's pretty small details, but you can just about make out the gas meter and just all those nice little details in there. It's pretty nicely done. I'm pretty impressed with this. So yeah, just thought I would give you guys a quick look, and of course you can just flip it down like so. So it's pretty easy to interchange. So yeah, there's a quick look. And just in case you're wondering how it looks from the side, so here's how it looks. It's really cool. I really like this detail. And of course, there's how it looks from the front and the back right here. And once again, you can just flip it down like so. So yeah, very cool detail. And so here's the bike from the other side. And once again, we have the front tire piece with all these nice mechanical pistons. And moving on here to the side of the bike. Once again, there's a top. And here's a look at the engine piece. I think it's pretty much the exact same on this side. I really don't see too much of a difference. And once again, paint job super nice, and we have all these nice fine details sculpted in there. And so here's a look at the silver pipe, which runs all the way from the bottom of the bike all the way to the sides to the back. And yeah, here we have the exhaust piece of the bike, and there's a look at the back of the tire. And of course, here's the side of the figure. And so here is the back of the tire piece. So the tire is kind of made out of like a soft piece of plastic, so it's kind of soft to the touch. It's a little bit bendy, which is kind of cool. And so here is the back of these exhaust engines. And so here's the back of the bike with this red tail light. So honestly, it really should have a light up feature. I just don't understand why they didn't include lights. It would have made the figure so much better, and it would have been absolutely perfect to have this red tail light light up. But anyhow, here's a look at the back, and of course we have the figure. And there's a look at the front of the bike. Okay, and so next up, let's take a look at Fenrir. So this piece was released around 1 year ago as of the date of this video, so it's a pretty recent figure, and yes, just such a nice piece. It's always been one of my favorites. So here's a look at the front tire piece with this front bumper section. Once again, we have all these nice shiny surfaces all these very reflective and shiny pieces on the bike. It's just so nicely done. And of course we have a light right here at the front of the headlights. The light just makes the figure look so much better, and yeah, it's just an awesome feature on the bike. I'm so happy that they included this. And here we have the top. Once again, we have all these nice shiny textures. And here we have all these pipes sculpted in there, like all these pistons, all the mechanical parts and whatnot. And here's a look at the sides of the bike. And so here at the bottom, just like the Harley Daytona, we have this metal display stand at the bottom. So it really does help to support the figure. And moving on here, here's a look at the Cloud Strife figure from Advent Children. Such an awesome figure. It's always been one of my favorites. And of course he's got his gigantic Buster Sword, or the Fusion Sword, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, very nice piece. I really do love that figure a lot. And moving on here to the back. So here we have all these engine pieces, like all these exhaust pipes. I really don't know what they are. And of course we have the back tire piece. And so here's the front of the bike. And I mean, look at all those reflections. It's really reflecting everything in this room right now. And of course here we have the front of the headlights. I mean, the light isn't that bright. It could be a lot brighter, but I mean, I'm not going to complain too much because I'm just happy that they included the lights with this figure. And so here's the top of the bike. And of course we have the Cloud figure. And the back of the bike right here. And so here's the side. Now this piece is pretty cool because you can swap it out for a piece which holds all the swords. So yeah, it's a very cool feature on this bike. Once again, here's a look at the handle piece. And then we even have like all these ports, like all these caps on Fenrir. Once again, there's a look at the top of the bike, and here we have the side of the figure. And so once again, just like the Harley Daytona, there's a special place for the figure to rest his foot, which is really good. It just really helps to support the figure. And so here is the back of the tire piece, and here we have the exhaust pipes. So yeah, here's the back of the tire piece, and once again, just like the Harley Daytona, the tire piece is also made out of like a softer piece of plastic, so it's kind of bendy. And here's a better look at the back of these exhaust pipes or engines. I really don't know what these are exactly, but yeah, really nicely done. I also love the paint job. As you can see, it's kind of like a rusted silver type of color, which looks really good. It really does make the figure look old. And so here's the back of the tail light, and yeah, it looks super good. I mean, it's a very small light, but I mean, I just really appreciate that they added a light for Fenrir, because as I mentioned, I mean, Daytona doesn't have any lights whatsoever, so it's really nice to see a difference between these two figures. And yeah, I think it's a pretty big difference. Moving on here, here's the back of the figure, and as you can see, it's got like a whole bunch of these holsters for all of the swords, which is really cool. And there's the side of the figure, and here we have the front of the bike. Alright, and so that pretty much covers both of the bikes. I mean, they're both absolutely fantastic bikes. I love the fact that Fenrir has lights, but I love the design of the Daytona, so I just really can't choose which one I like better. But let me know in the comments below which bike you guys like better. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the figures. Alright guys, and so here's a look at all of the Final Fantasy VII Cloud Strife figures which Players Kai have currently made. So let's take a look at what we have here. So first up, we have the original 2015 AC Cloud. Next up, we have the 2019 Cloud and Fenrir. Here we have the 2020 Harley Daytona and Cloud. And here we have the 2017 original remake Cloud Strife. So yeah, there's a look at all the Cloud Strife figures. Alright, so let's see what we have here. So this is just going to be a super quick comparison. I'm going to make a full-length comparison video on all of these figures, so if you guys want to check that out, then it will be on my channel. But yeah, for this video, let's just take a quick look at what we have here. So first up, here's a look at the original AC Cloud. It's still a very nice piece. I mean, I absolutely love this figure. It's super nicely detailed, and I love the sculpt. It's just such a nice design. And so next up here, we have the Cloud Strife and Fenrir. So yeah, as you can see, it's pretty much the exact same figure as the original, just apart from the head sculpt, which is the main difference. But yeah, it's essentially the exact same figure. I really don't see any differences in the sculpts or the paint job. Here's a look at the Cloud Strife, which comes with the Hardy Daytona. So yeah, it's a very nice piece. It's pretty much the exact same figure as the original, but nonetheless, I absolutely love this figure. It's probably one of my favorite figures in my entire Player's Kai collection. And next up here, here's a look at the original Remake Cloud Strife. Now that I've got these figures side by side, I actually do see a difference, especially in the paint job. As you can see, the paint job around the face on the original Cloud Strife is a lot darker, whereas the paint job on the Cloud Strife with the Hardy Daytona is a lot more lighter. So yeah, just very subtle differences in the paint job. I think I like the original better. I just think the paint job around the face looks a lot better compared to the Hardy Daytona Cloud Strife. But yeah, as I mentioned, very subtle differences. And here's a look at the body piece on the original Cloud. So yeah guys, there's a quick look at all the Final Fantasy VII Cloud Strife figures which have currently been made by Player's Kai. Alright, and so next up, let's check out the articulation for the bike. So first up, let's begin with the Hardy Daytona. So right here at the front, we have a swivel joint for the front of the tire piece, but as you can see, it doesn't really go very far, and it's a very tight joint as well. This here tire piece is also on the swivel joints. As you can see, it can rotate. Here at the handle pieces, we have a swivel joint for the handles, and same goes for the little connector piece right here. It's kind of on a swivel joint as well, and same goes for the other handle on the side. In the body piece, there's pretty much nothing going on here. It's pretty much just a stationary piece. But here at the bottom, we have this really sturdy metal display stand, which really helps to prop the figure up. And yeah, that's a really sturdy stand. Here at the back, we have the tire piece, which as you can see, it can rotate all the way around like so. And of course, the wheels can spin. And the wheels move separately from each other. As you can see, they move independently from one another. So yeah, that's pretty much the articulation for the Hardy Daytona. Alright, and so next up, let's check out the articulation for Fenrir. So right here at the base, we have a swivel joint for the front of the tire section. And of course, the wheel itself can also spin like so. These handle pieces, they're kind of like on a ball joint, but they don't really move very far, as you can see. There's nothing inside the body piece. These are pieces can detach like so to switch it out for the sword holster piece. And right here at the bottom, we have once again a pretty sturdy metal display stand. This one isn't as stiff as the Hardy Daytona, but yeah, it's a very sturdy stand, and it really helps to support the figure to stand up. Here at the back, we have the tire piece, which once again can spin like so. And yeah, there's a look at the lights on the back and the front. So yeah, there's a look at the articulation for Fenrir. And so I thought that I would just mention the battery compartments on Fenrir. So right here at the bottom, this piece can detach like so. And yeah, here's a look at the battery compartment. So on and off. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And here's a look at the front. So basically off and on, off and on. So yeah, that's pretty much the battery for the figure. So guys, these are both absolutely fantastic figures. I mean, I would highly recommend picking up both of the figures if you can. I mean, they're just both such excellent pieces. I really couldn't choose which one I like better. They're both very different from each other, and they both have their pros and cons, but for the most part, if you're a big fan of Final Fantasy VII, you will not be disappointed with either figure. But anyways guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a suggestion in the comments below for what video you guys want to see next. So yeah, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Alright, take it easy guys.